Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is video 3 of the Revit for the MEP Professional series. In this video we'll focus on drawing duct. Now drawing duct is pretty similar to drawing pipe you have the two clicks. So you click to start the duct and then you click to end it. As with pipe, you have the similar fittings that you use for duct. There's some differences in that with pipe, you generally have a few different styles, maybe one for sanitary and one for just regular domestic piping and stuff like that. So with duct, you also have the different shapes. So you have the rectangle, the round, and the elliptical. So we can start by drawing duct. Pretty simple. Just under the Systems tab, we can just click the duct. We have our standard offset or elevation. This drawing is pretty similar to the one we used in the pipe video. It's just a floor right now with the base level at 0. So this duct, now you'll notice it has two different sizes. Obviously this is a rectangular duct, so it has the width and the height. So we can draw this and we get a duct that is 12 by 12. Now we can obviously change this to get whatever size of duct we need. So we can do pretty much any size. I'll just open up that 3D view for you guys to get it. You can see different sizes that we drew. I'm just going to quickly change this to shaded, so it kind of helps get a more dimensional feeling of the duct. Now, with the same with piping, we can change this elevation. We can do our 6 feet that we did before. You can change the size just as you would with pipe. But you can also change the shape. Now under this Properties tab, we can drop this down. We can get all of our different types that we have loaded. And these are the standard types that come with Revit. So we can change this. The T's or taps indicate what type of fitting you're going to use, what type of branch fitting you're going to use. So it's either a type or a T, and I can show you that in a second, but let's just change this to the elliptical. Now elliptical is basically like rectangular pipe in that it has a width and a height. So as you can see, as I change the width, the shape of this duct will change. So that's pretty simple. We can also change this to round, and we get a round pipe. Now round only has the diameter, obviously. It won't have a width and a height because they're both the same. So we can change the size just like normal. Now, as I mentioned before, we had the T's and the taps. And I can show you with the different styles here. I'm gonna delete this one. I'm gonna change this one to our elliptical. this one will be a rectangular. So T's are the taps, pretty easy to understand. Let's draw a duct. I'm gonna start from the round and then do the elliptical and then do the rectangular. So let's start with a T. So if I start on the middle of a pipe, I can press the spacebar and inherit the elevation and the size. So as you can see, our duct changed to the size we started on. So this is our T here. As you can see, this is our family that we had selected, and it created a T. So if we go to our taps, I'm just going to do the same thing. Start on the middle of the duct, press the spacebar, and that would be your tap. So it doesn't make a new section. It just kind of taps into a section like you might see in real life. Now the other one I think is just a variation of the tap. So I'm doing the same thing. You might not see a difference here, and I think that's because it's only on the 45. I may be mistaken, but oh, you know what? I know what that's for. That is for the elbows. So when you have these two, this is the regular tap. And if we just draw an elbow here, you can see it's you can see this is the 1.5 diameter. So the radius or the diameter of this curve is 1.5 the diameter of the pipe. So obviously as your pipe gets bigger, that radius or diameter gets bigger, takes up more area. Now the short radius, you can see that it only created a 1 diameter elbow instead of a 1.5. This is useful if you mostly want these the 1 diameter elbows and not the 1.5. If you're working in like tight quarters or in areas where you need only 1 diameter. The 1.5 diameter pipe obviously has less of the friction loss. So if your company or you're used to using the 1.5 diameter, I would stick with that. Now moving on to the elliptical. You can see the first section indicates the type of elbows, and then the tap or the T's, the branch connection. So I'm just going to delete what we had there. If you press tab when you're hovering over duct or pipe, it'll select the whole branch or the whole system. I'll go over that too a little bit later when we get into doing full systems. So I'm going to just show you the difference between the T's and the taps and then the elbows. So let's do standard. Oops. It's a little off center there. So this is a tap. This is a T. These are your mitered elbows, so... Oh, sorry, that was the rectangular duct. Oh, my bad. I drew the rectangular duct on there. Let's try this. Let's try that again. That's why that fitting was looking kind of funky. So sorry, the tap, and here's the T. And then here is your gored elbow. And then here is your mitered elbow. As you can see, it's more like a rectangular. Instead of a curve, you got the mitered. I'll show you that too in a second. Here's your taps. There's your T. Pretty simple. I'll just show the radius elbows again. So that one's not 90 degrees, but there we go. And mitered elbows. So as you can see, you can start getting a little more customized when you for your design preference and your company's preference. You can also, when you're doing these, you can change them after the fact. If you select this, you can go change it to your 2 width or 1 width times the diameter. Sorry, times the width. So just because you drew it like that doesn't mean you're stuck like that. And there's ways to modify that, customize it a little bit more. And I'm not going to get into this video, but maybe in a future video we'll dive into that. So the placeholder, it's very similar to our piping placeholder in that in the plan view it only draws a line. So this was the rectangular duct. It had a width and a height and an elevation, but it only shows up in your plan view as a line. And like the piping, it's easier to work with if you're doing just preliminary stuff or basic sketches and that. But one thing I forgot to mention, and I'm just going to confirm it here. I'm going to draw a pipe right next to it. These are both placeholders. It's a placeholder pipe. This is a placeholder duct. And I'm going to draw a section. That was terrible. Let me try again. There we go. Now, as you can see in section, Duct shows its true shape. So this is good for planning as well. You can start doing like corridor sections and maybe some of your tight spots. You can start planning them without having to draw a real duct. Because you can move these around fairly easily when it's all connected into the system. So this is a good option if you're doing some planning and or just preliminary stuff, like I said. I don't believe this is the actual diameter of the pipe. I believe this is only set up in your symbol. I could be wrong. Let me just check that. Yeah. So I changed the size to a much smaller pipe, and this didn't change. This is basically it's basically like a symbol, almost like a drop symbol or a riser symbol if you're used to like AutoCAD and that. So this isn't the actual dimension, so it's kind of, it's not the same as duct. I can make this 12 inch and you can see that this won't change. But if I do change this size changes. So don't be fooled by this. Anyways, so just like with, I'm going to close that. Just like with piping, you can convert this just as you would to regular duct. Let's try it again. Convert. Pretty easy. Up here is your duct fittings. You can add, these are all the standard ones that come loaded in Revit. Most of these are your takeoffs and your elbows and that, and those will draw automatically, but sometimes if you kind of need to modify things, you might have to put these in manually. Up here is your duct accessory. So these will be your dampers. This one's the only one loaded, but there is a like a balancing damper family. This one, I don't use that often, but it could be quite useful. If you have your flex duct, is pretty similar to the piping one, but you can convert that. It should have gave me checkbox here. Not sure why it's not doing that. Maybe it only works with round. I don't use it that often, so I'm not too sure. Anyways, sorry. You can just draw your flex duct like normal. You can still do the wacky things that you do with the piping, as you can see. It goes all crazy. And air terminals I'll get to in the later video. Probably the next one when we do some placing of mechanical equipment. We'll do some placing of the air terminals. So I think that's going to be it for this video. Pretty short one. Very similar to piping in the way that works. Yeah, so the next video I explained will be on placing mechanical equipment and doing some different families, going through the different families and how they work and how you can place them in your model. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye.